Hello there. Welcome to another video by MN Gaming. Hope you guys are having a blessed Ramadan. So usually for Ramadan we try to cater our content a bit differently. This time around we are doing a series of video essays where we will be discussing different topics that relate to video games in one way or another. In this particular video I'm going to be talking about how AAA video games have evolved into live service models or games as a service models over the years. So I'm going to have a look at how this began, the current state of things, and more importantly, how this will affect the future of gaming going forward. So without further ado, let's get into the juicier bits of the video.
It's begun.
So, how did it start? Looking at the current state of video gaming industry, it is safe to say that currently there is an overabundance of live service games with titles like Genshin Impact, Avengers, Fortnite, and Anthem. Before we get into further details of the video, do note that I will be mostly talking about the history and evolution of AAA games into the live service model as a whole, and that my main focus is on Western games market. This means that I won't be making a distinction between gacha models, subscriptions, and microtransactions. If it's a live service in any way, I've put it here. So with those details out of the way, let's get back to the video. When you think about the start of AAA live service games and microtransactions, many of us would think immediately World of Warcraft. Yes, it would make sense that Blizzard would be the founding fathers of the in-game monetization. Except it's not really Blizzard that started it all. They just set the trend. The concept of in-game monetization through subscription became popular mainly through MMOs, which is true. But specifically the MMO that started it all was all the way back from 1996, a 3D MMO named Meridian 59, which was based on subscription. When the Elder Scrolls Oblivion introduced the infamous Horse Armor DLC to benefit the added experience for the MMO, little did they know that this Horse Armor DLC would affect the industry at large. This $1.99 DLC was among the most crucial decisions that made other big publishers jump in on this new formula for making games. But we already had Konami on the East popularizing gacha mechanics through Dragoon Collection, although we can argue that MapleStory was in on this much earlier than Konami.
Someone once said that you can't go home again, but they lacked vision. And a temporal discombobulator.
When we think about live service models in the AAA gaming industry, most of us would associate subscription-based models for World of Warcraft and Final Fantasy XIV for such instances. Meanwhile, we do have battle passes for other multiplayer online games like Dota 2, League of Legends, Battlefield, or even Call of Duty. And this is largely accepted by the players. Meanwhile, we have the gacha payment model mostly limited to the mobile gaming market, where it is running rampant in games like Candy Crush, Another Eden, etc. The reality of the situation is that mobile gaming is actually quite profitable. To put things into perspective, more than 51% of the gaming revenue is contributed by the mobile gaming market. And all of this is thanks to the different gacha pricing models and other microtransactions that exist in these mobile games. When Overwatch launched, however, Blizzard took the opportunity to really profit from the users with the addition of loot boxes in the game. Admittedly, even though I really like to harp on Blizzard, they aren't the guys who introduced loot boxes to the market. Looking at EA and FIFA and other Eastern gacha games that have introduced this mechanic since the early 2000s, But what EA and Blizzard managed to do was successfully implement a loot box system on top of an already paid AAA gaming experience. And this was a massive success for Blizzard at the time. Overwatch went on to win Game of the Year back in 2016, and what's more, Blizzard made a whopping $1 billion sales with just the loot box system in Overwatch. Meanwhile, EA is quietly making billions with just the in-game purchases from FIFA Ultimate Team. Developers took notice and were quick to adopt. The floodgates were opened and the same in-game microtransactions that have riddled the mobile gaming market found its way to the AAA gaming industry, and it managed to do so quite successfully. By this time, big publishers have a vested interest in how they can make these franchises as profitable as they can. These video gaming experiences are no longer considered one-time things where a player would purchase a game and put it down once they are done with it. It was now all about making sure the players keep returning to the game and make sure they spend more on these big budget titles. Enter Anthem.
Bam, looking good.
BioWare's next big thing back in 2019 and their first entry to the live service model of gaming. Anthem looked good, the idea was good, the gameplay seemed amazing. Especially for fans of the FPS genre and the guys who play Titanfall, Anthem looked like it could be the next big thing. But oftentimes with live service models, publishers fail to push out a finished product at launch. They somehow have it in their heads that they will always fix the bugs or any other issues with the game after the launch via updates. Which is kind of true, but that doesn't quite include the game itself most of the time. And sadly, this mindset does not apply to live service games anymore. Rather, it applies to a lot of big budget AAA titles these days. Yes, I am looking at you, Cyberpunk 2077. We have a separate video where we reviewed Cyberpunk 2077. Go check it out, it's pretty good. But this is a story for another video itself. Then came Marvel's Avengers, one of the more hyped up games at the time. And this was after Anthem had made its millions and bowed out of the gaming market with boos and disgruntled players promising never to be fooled by EA again. Marvel's Avengers proved that it could be no better than Anthem. Here's our review of the game when it came out. The game was launched riddled with bugs and expected the players to be online all the time for single player campaign. Eidos Montreal, the developers behind this huge live service project, promised to improve the state of the game, putting up their promising roadmap in shiny marketing letters. However, players held their ground and the game was announced to be shut down in September 23rd of this year. Now, if you are wondering why I haven't really talked about two of the biggest games as a service models which had a rippling effect across the entire industry, you know what I'm talking about, Genshin Impact and Fortnite. Well, that's because I was mainly concerned with how the live service model came to be, rather than how it is. It's also a bit of a complex topic that we are not ready to tackle just yet. How Genshin Impact uses its gacha system to convert the free-to-play players into casual spenders, or rather dolphins, and how these dolphins evolve into whales. I'm not sure how this terminology came to be, maybe we can discuss in a separate Genshin Impact video. And how Fortnite managed to create a multiverse of character crossovers and a reward-based battle pass system while also recreating their world. It's all a bit beyond the scope of this video. And no, it's not because we haven't tried them. In fact, I actually used to play Genshin Impact. I used to play Genshin Impact a lot. I even restarted the game 27 times in order to get a special, rare character during the first banner of the game. The game does a very good job of convincing the players that it is a free-to-play experience and getting them hooked in this mesmerizing world of adventure and excellent characters. Of course, you would have to take out your wallet if you run out of your luck trying to get them with the free items that are available in the game. Genshin Impact and Fortnite deserve a video of their own to break down these mechanics they use to pull these players into spending. Maybe in the future we'll tackle it. So, let's get to our main point. Rather than the present, where do we go from here? Live service games have become huge, even though failures like Avengers and Anthem were booed off the stage by the general public. Anthem made more than $100 million in digital revenue, out of which $3.5 million came directly from in-game purchases. Avengers made roughly $63 million, and this was still considered a disappointment from Square Enix, which, according to them, had failed to meet their financial expectations. But $63 million is still a lot for an unfinished game that largely benefited from the pre-orders. Now, I'm not going to make a statement and say all live services are bad. No. This all depends on whether the player buying something gains value from whatever is bought. From the look of things, live service games are here to stay, whether we like it or not. With the continued commercial success of these games, even with recent titles like Diablo Immortal, we are seeing more publishers push their games to be live service. This is partly one of the reasons why single-player story-driven games like God of War Ragnarok, Elden Ring hold more value to players who prefer the traditional gaming experience. But looking at the future of this, it might be even more of a rare occurrence. Why do I think that? Because gaming has become much more commercial than it has ever been with the help of these live service models. God of War Ragnarok earned $9.6 billion and Elden Ring sold more than 20 million copies, which is good. These are huge successes. Meanwhile, we have free-to-play games like Genshin Impact making close to $4 billion in revenue, and Fortnite earned more than $5.8 billion in 2021. But at the end of the day, it's just one man's very pessimistic view on the situation. We've seen companies make statements claiming that players don't want linear single-player games, but we all still rejoice when one comes out. Whether it's here to stay or go, however, it's still up in the air. I fear that it may be on the live support though. What do you guys think of this matter? Is live service going to penetrate into every game in the future? Are AAA single-player story-driven games going to die out? Give us a comment and let us know your thoughts. Well, that's all from me. See you guys in the next video.